Thank you very much, Kemi. Thank you. It's my pleasure to be here. I want to also thank Mana, and Pathfinder for bringing me on board. I've been told, to summarize my whole 34.5 years career into 15 minutes. I don't know how I'm going to do this, but I'll try. Anna had said to talk about a bit about leadership, a bit about my life in retirement because I'm retired now. She also did say that I should touch on a bit about marketing strategy. So I'll pull all of this and see what I can do in 15 minutes. Now, I started my career, and worked entirely in a multinational. And so I can say basically that I might just have been more privileged than my colleagues who were in the public sector and other local private companies. And I worked with an organization where there was a chance for me to grow based on my performance, of course, and my boss's, judgment of how well I perform. But, there was opportunity to grow in the company and, get up to the executive or management level. I also would confirm that the company I worked for, which is Nestle Nigeria, there was a fair chance of, there was gender balance, absolutely, at the management level more than the executive level, but there was an effort at, gender balance. What I found that was missing was that in Nestle, in Nigeria for sure, there was no woman that was deemed suitable to sit on the board of the company. Even at the global level, there were just one or two sprinkles of women at the board. Now, that wasn't something gladdening for me. Yes, of course, I ended up at the board and I was the first woman to have sat on the board of this company. But that took about 30 years or so of my career there to be able to sit on the board. Now, this is the world of working in a male-dominated, workforce. And so I'm going to be sharing with you how I navigated this terrain, in about 2-3 minutes. I don't know how I'm going to do this, but I'll try. But let me start with telling you a story. I love stories, by the way. I had the opportunity when I was a group brand manager to attend a leadership program in London Business School. So when we got there, we're put in teams of 8 members each, different nationals, and of course, men and women, in these teams. After 1 week of staying together as a team, we were to assess each other. And the coach then said, look, describe each person, in terms of an animal. How we, as humans, we perceive certain animals as, calm, some as more aggressive, and all of that. And I found out that independently, each of my team members, at least 7 of them, we were 8 in the team, said, I was a lion. I was described as a lion. One person said, I was a tiger. Well, I attended University of Nigeria, Nsukka. And therefore, with UNN, we refer to ourselves as lions and lionesses. So was I a bit surprised as I was referred to as a lion or lioness? Maybe not. But in that environment, I tell you, it came as a bit of a shock to me, a bit of discomfort, let me put it that way. I want to be a woman. I want to be a woman that, can do what she needs to do without necessarily being referred to as a man. So for me, I want to be strong. I want to be assertive, a bold woman, all the qualities, somebody should have, but certainly not a man. So at the end of the program, we then had a one-on-one chat, with the coach. And she then gave me a few tips about navigating the world of men, or the working world of men. And so I'm going to share a few of these tips with you. I learned that I should confidently ask for what I want and what I deserve. I mean, this is something I find a lot of women in work, a bit reluctant to do. That thing about being confident to ask for what you want. Now, my first example of doing this was I was sitting at my appraisal with my then marketing commercial manager, was a South African. And it was a normal annual appraisal. We finished and he said, so what do you think? What's your next step? I said, look, Richard, I want to sit on that chair that you're sitting. I must have had some guts there, But this was coming out of the fact that my confidence was built up. And he looked at me and he said, Iquo, but I'm still sitting here. I said, yes, Richard, I know you're still sitting there, but one of these days you would leave. And when you leave, I want to sit on that seat. Well, maybe I could do that because this was a white South African and not a Nigerian. But I did dare to ask. And so, trust me, 6 months later, I was made the marketing manager of Nestle Nigeria. Yes, it was not the commercial manager because subsequently the role was split between marketing and sales manager. So I was made the marketing manager for Nestle Nigeria. That was my first, attempt at it. Now, getting onto the board as well, trust me, when I sat in front of my then boss and he said, Iquo, so what's the next step? I said, look, Martin, I want to sit on the board because I believe I'm going to bring value to the board. By the way, for the marketing manager role, he then, the commercial manager then, Richard, asked, but if we do not give you this role, what happens? I said, Richard, no ill feelings. I have had a good time in the company. I thank the company for having, accommodated me and helped me to grow. But I felt that I needed to go somewhere else and find new challenges for myself. And so I'll be living a very happy, employee. The same thing at the board level. I said, look, I want to bring value to the board. So ladies, I did get on the board of Nestle Nigeria. I picked up a few things about emotional intelligence as well. Look, when you're working with men, I sometimes tell women, particularly if you're married, it's not much different from dealing with your husband, with your spouse at home. And so, for example, for me, when I needed to get one of my, staff promoted, we were something like about 6 or 7 people on the executive level, and this was where promotion interviews took place. I will go around at least 4 of my colleagues, most of them men, of course, and get their buy-in about my staff. And so by the time I was sitting in that room, I already had 4 people on my side, and therefore presenting my candidate wasn't a problem. If I had gone there without having consulted them, trust me, people will say, no, he's not yet ready for promotion. Oh, sorry, I have this against him, or I have that against her. This is part of the politics of work. And after that London Business School, I learned to do that. And it also came with ideas. When I had an idea, I would walk into my boss's office, sell the idea to him, and then I would ask that critical question, what do you think? The simple question, what do you think, for a man, makes him feel superior, makes him feel as if he's the one that came up with the idea. Trust me, when I'm out there in a larger room, in a larger meeting, you cannot imagine how I would be sold or how I was sold, on this same idea. He would then, publicly say, look, this was Iquo's idea and that, and that. But, above all of this, guys, I had to bring value to the table. You cannot, we're not looking for tokens, as women at the executive level or at the board level, we're not looking for tokens. So it's important, that we bring real value. And talking about value, before I round up on this segment of it, there were times where the company had to lay off people from their 50s. Ladies, if you're in marketing and you're already hitting 40, 45, and you are not at the top of the business as far as marketing is concerned, I would say pivot into some other, departments, because, what happens is that, somebody's trying to bring in a younger blood. They call it energizing the business. And so there were a couple of people in their 50s that were invited, and the company would pay you, some handsome money and tell you, yes, we don't need your service anymore. Ladies, I offered myself for this, and I was told, oh, no, not you. You know why? I continually upskilled myself. I mean, look, at 50-something, social media was just coming in. I came out of an era where it was radio, television, press, and all of that. But I took it upon myself to understand digital media. And therefore, looking at me, I was perpetually reinventing myself in that organization. I mean, the way it is when your colleagues at the executive level who are men don't know anything about digital media or social media, then you start to stand out. So upskilling is one way, you stay relevant. Upskilling is one way, that you can remain relevant. Like I said, above everything, we continue to bring value to the business. I hope I've given you a few tips. Like I said, I've been told to summarize 30-something years experience into just these few minutes. Now, let me move on to retirement. Look, exiting any business, at any time requires planning. Whether you're exiting because you're statutorily required to exit at 60, which was what I did, or you're leaving, for some other reason, maybe you found a better job elsewhere, or you're leaving to go start out your business, or you're coming from business back into paid employment. All of this requires planning, strategic planning. So it was about 5 years before my retirement from paid job, I started to visualize the kind of life I wanted to live in retirement. I played up with lots of ideas, and I came to the conclusion that what I wanted in retirement was that I wanted to be intellectually challenged. I also wanted to be economically active. Those two things were critical to me. Now, what I did, was that, or what I did not want to do, rather, is that I did not want to go to any reception of a company and sit there chasing after LPOs. For me, if I had to pick up an LPO, it is because, I've been invited to pick up the LPO to do the job, not that I went seeking for it. And I should say that to the glory of God today, I have been able to actualize that. What I visualize is coming to fruition. I've been asking myself that maybe I should have retired a bit earlier, but well, God's time is the time. So today I have a thriving food blog, 1Q Food Platter, as you've been told earlier. I have about 250,000 followers on all social media. Now, mark me, this is a woman that started social media somewhere when she was 57 or thereabout. I have been featured, as a result of this, I have been featured on Anthony Bourdain's Path Unknown. That episode is currently running on Netflix. I have been featured on Forbes, and I've been featured on many other global food stages. And currently, there's a book in the offing, and I also sit on the board of some companies, and I'm also a co-owner of a food business. But let me tell you something. It all started 3 years before I left employment. I had started my food blog then, creating recipes, documenting recipes, posting, my blog. And so I had started building a reputation online in the food space. I had also, of course, started building my following. It was a deliberate effort. And so in retirement, I was actually basically sleeping from what I was doing 3 years before retirement, and I just continued whilst I was in retirement. My choice of wanting to use social media as my main platform for operation was deliberate. I knew I have a better and stronger visibility for what I wanted to do in the food space. And I knew that finding me for board roles and other opportunities was going to be quite easy, from LinkedIn, for example. And on LinkedIn, even today, I write articles from time to time, and I remain, fairly active on LinkedIn. I do not miss opportunities to join virtual marketing sessions, both local and international. There, I'm a listener and a contributor. What this has meant is that I continue to learn new and more effective ways to use digital media to my advantage. I take the advantage of platforms like the one of today that Anna and her team, have offered, to keep abreast of consumer needs and different concepts in marketing. And so I have progressively in my career and my social life built strong networks even before I left employment. And these have paid off. Ladies, there is nothing as important as your network. But I would always say, please network up, network horizontally, and network down. Trust me, I am finding those people that I had networked down with, they are the ones that I am finding very useful in my retirement. I surround myself constantly with younger people. I listen to their thoughts. I try to understand them. I try to understand their desires and their motives. This keeps my mind useful and, more importantly, helps me to contribute meaningfully when I sit at board meetings. Because for most of those boards, some are FMCG, and what's a better way to give advice because, I have interacted with their core target audience. Because I'm also a co-owner of a food business, it becomes important for me to continue this network and understanding the younger people and staying around them, because then it can help me add value and bring, stronger strategies even to my own business. I would say that even in retirement, we need to renovate ourselves. We need to upskill ourselves. I read a lot. Like they say, Google is your friend. I get onto YouTube and there's so much knowledge that you can pick up from there. So I give an example. Do you have an event, event planning business? What is new in event planning business? How can you upskill? How can you leverage? We are in COVID, the COVID times. How can you pivot? What else can you do? Can you do something on social media, which others are not doing? So these are some of the things I keep my mind on and I keep my eyes on, and I'm able to stay relevant. Because, Anna asked, how do you stay relevant? This is basically what I do, to stay relevant. But trust me, sometimes I ask myself, am I really in retirement? Because my hands are full, but happily full. I was also told to talk about, I don't know how many minutes I have now, but I'll just round this up because the last speaker, Ms. Ajay did actually, and I think she was actually reading my script, and she's actually done a good job, in terms of what to do, if you're running a business. And we are in the era of social media, so there's really no excuse. What you need is data and some consistency. So I was told to talk about how to project your brand, attract and retain consumers, how to start and run successful businesses. I'm going to wrap all of this up in a few sentences. Since retiring, I have interacted with a lot of SMEs. And I find out that for most SMEs, what we want to do is to simply sell products. If you start talking about marketing to an SME, they look the other direction. You hear something like, I beg, let me sell first. The question I ask is, how long more do you hope to sell before sales takes a nosedive? Or at best, you continue on a path of small gains until another brand captures the heart of the consumers. Now, here's the thing. You don't have monopoly of ideas, I hope you know. There are 1,001 other offerings other people selling similar products and services as yourself. If they don't already exist, trust me, they will soon be in the market. So what will make your own product different? And how much are you able to credit the emotional bank account of your consumers or potential consumers? This is part of the branding process. Have you ever asked why brands like Coca-Cola, which I grew up knowing, have not stopped advertising even till today? You don't, wake up and drop a post on Instagram in December 2020, and 3 months later, there's nothing happening on your page. Or even on that page, you're mixing, your picture of your Wambe party with your product. I mean, what do you want the consumers to pick from your page? It is important that when you decide on the business you want to do, you brand. Now, before we even get into the business, what is your product like? You see, the era of social media is so unforgiving. If you have a bad performing product or goods or service, trust me, the guys on Twitter will call you out. And before you know it, that business is dead on arrival. So I would say before you even go out, try as much as possible to ensure that you have a good product out there. And so if you want to run a sustainable, profitable business and keep it going, so that you have to have that differentiation, and then you can then keep, current and future customers, and also try to renovate current products and innovate to the benefit of new consumers. Let me give an example. If I have a hair salon, I can offer something as simple as orange juice as my customers walk in. I don't have to do this every day. Even if I decide to do it every day, guess what? I can plow back the cost of that orange juice, which my next door neighbor is not offering, into the cost of doing the hair for my client. And they'll pay for it. But I have added something. So let's always think innovation. Let's think renovation. How can I do it better? Because trust me, on a daily basis, there are new products, there are new ideas, there are new services better than yours on the stage. But so long as you continue to renovate and share this with your consumers, there's no turning back. You will succeed. So renovation of products or services is one of the ways of getting renewed attention for your customers. Take for example, like I said, the example of the salon. Product label changes. You can just tweak your product label if you're selling products. I know a lot of SMEs, you use stickers. For instance, it's cheap to manufacture those stickers. So play around with the stickers, make it new, make it interesting, for your consumers. On social media, it presents a lot of offerings to consumers. We are all bombarded every day, with alternatives to the products we used yesterday. So your brand has to continue to deliver on its promise. If you said you are selling spicy plantain chips, let it be spicy plantain chips. It comes with a lot of monitoring. I know we have human resource challenges, but these are some of the things we have to put in place even before we start our businesses. Like I said, the social media is cluttered. However, trust me, every day people are looking for new solutions. People are looking for improving their lives, and that's your product offering would just be what they've been waiting for. But before everything, identify the needs and wants. Social media is where you can read a lot about what consumers are looking for. If you just spend some time there, yes, I know, look at the fashion and the new hairstyles and the new, Ankara styles, but also check out what's in your own area of specification. I give you an example. For me, I go on social media on other food pages. What are they doing?